Hey, welcome to Half the Battle. Today, we're taking a look at Beachhead.
His first figure was released in 1986 with all original body parts, and it looks pretty damn good and distinct. He's one of the few Joes whose face is covered up, like Snake Eyes, and the figure pulls off the look well. As far as I could find out, we're never given an in-universe reason why he's always wearing a baklava, but from a toy perspective, it's obviously to give him a more unique look.
Or maybe he hosts a review show on the side, who knows?
After all, back in the day, there was only so much they could do to make every tiny little face look unique, and using stuff like face masks actually helped accomplish this. This really is an excellent figure. The only small point of critique I can think of is that, well, his elbows are a slightly different shade of green compared to his arms. Other than that, this toy is golden. His accessories, though, well, they're just okay. They're nothing special. While his backpack is nicely detailed, nothing on it is removable, like the rope or the mini crossbow. His gun is a pretty standard submachine gun, and his ammo pouch, well, I feel it just makes the figure look busy. The last thing I want to say about this figure relates to its card art. He looks very shifty here, like he's up to no good or something. Kind of a weird look. The second figure they made of Beachhead from 1993 took the look in a slightly different but still recognizable direction. The more traditional army colors are gone, replaced with blue tints. While the figure itself is nice enough, he reminds me more of a police SWAT type guy than an army ranger. His accessories, sadly, are a bunch of generic bright yellow weapons.
At least there's no orange.
Continuing the tradition of slightly strange card art, Beachhead is drawn screaming here. Screaming behind his baklava. This vaguely reminds me of a horror movie and looks really out of place. His third and final figure of the original series has much the same story as Barricade did a couple of episodes ago. Less than a year after the previous version came out, they released the same figure with a slightly different color scheme. In this case, a worse one, since they gave him a bright yellow vest. Something that really doesn't work with the theme of the figure. They might as well have just drawn a bright yellow "shoot me" sign on him. After the original toy run, Beachhead got a few more figures over the years. The best one, in my opinion, is the Night Force version, released in 2004. I'm probably biased though, since Night Force is my favorite sub-team.
The vehicles notwithstanding.
If it wasn't for the out-of-place G.I. Joe logo on his leg, this version would have been my favorite. As it stands, I'll have to say the best one is the original. The 2002 version would have been a fine update of the original, if it wasn't for his legs. Like other figures from this year, they are just too damn long, and they look really goofy, especially when you put them next to a figure from the original line. Finally, the Rise of Cobra version, well, that's just bland.
So let's get to know Beachhead, starting with his file card.
It tells us he's a patient, meticulous instructor that actually enjoys early morning PT or physical training. He never gets mad, as he considers this a waste of time and energy.
Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
The only thing he hates is people who won't do their best. His second file card is mostly a copy of the original, though it adds that he doesn't use deodorant, meaning that early morning PT can annoy other Joes once they all go for breakfast.
It's interesting to note that this is one of those rare occasions when they incorporate things from the cartoon into the file card, as we get this exchange from Arise Serpentor Arise.
Beachhead, I want to talk to you about your deodorant.
What do you mean? I don't use deodorant.
That's what I want to talk to you about.
Hey, nice segue into the cartoon version of Beachhead.
Beachhead made his debut along with many others in the miniseries which kicked off the new season. When we first see him, we find out that he is fourth in command of the Joe team. We also finally get a clear view of the chain of command in the cartoon universe.
First comes Hawk, then Duke, then me, and finally you.
Yeah, so the command structure goes from General to Master Sergeant to Warrant Officer and then to Sergeant Major. Sure, that makes a lot of sense. Honestly, I could do an entire episode about the rank structure of the Joe team. It makes about as much sense as a Stardate system in Star Trek. Anyway, Beachhead's character in the cartoon. Let's go back to the file card for a moment, shall we?
Most folks will get mad on occasion, or at least get irritable. Not Beachhead. He thinks anger is a waste of time and energy.
Cut the macho, tunnel rat. Now do it! The crowd ain't the only thing that's gone bananas. I hope you both get fleas. What are you doing?
Yeah, not so much.
Much like Bazooka, his cartoon personality is pretty much the exact opposite of what the file card says. Now, if you're expecting an angry rant from me here, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to disappoint you. You see, in this case, I really don't mind at all. Beachhead is pretty much my favorite character in the cartoon. I love his ornery disposition. He fulfills the role of the straight man in the cartoon, being driven nuts by the craziness going on around him. He's basically a likable version of Frank Grimes. That's right, you just heard me praising the cartoon. Hey, like I said way back when, I actually really like this cartoon series, so I have to give it a shout out every once in a while. Beachhead also frequently thinks he'd make a better leader for the Joes than the others.
These three? Promoted to colonel? This doesn't make sense. Shipwreck isn't even in the army.
Tell me about it. I contacted DOD twice for confirmation and got the same answer.
But why these three particular Joes? Why not Roadblock or Slipstream or me?
And you know what? I'd have to agree with him.
I mean, he never once went into a coma. That alone qualifies him. As far as the comics go, well, I'm afraid I can be brief here. Beachhead made his debut in issue 47, but he was unremarkable. Like several other Joes from the era, such as I mentioned in my barbecue review, he too had quite a large role in the cartoon, but only showed up as an incidental character in the comics.
I really feel there's a lot of wasted potential there.
For a better comic take on Beachhead, I recommend the Image series, where he's featured far more prominently as an instructor for the new Joes. A role copied from his G.I. Joe cartoon movie appearance, where he's the instructor for the Rawhides, and he gets to shine there in all his exasperated glory. It's one of the few decent parts of that theatrical mess. Okay, so now I've just said something nice about the animated movie. Maybe I should go lie down for a while once this review is over. In conclusion, if you want a Beachhead toy, stick with the original, as it's clearly the best. Though, to be fair, the Night Force version comes in a close second. Cartoon Beachhead is the best Beachhead, and I hope that he will someday lead the Joe team. Well, we can all dream, can't we?
See you next week, everybody.